Yes. All right. Welcome, everyone, to Andy Bird Build's first live stream. Thank you for being here. This is going to be a fun time. I've got a great, talented guy with us tonight, Bao Loy, and this is going to be a great conversation. Just a good time to hang out, get to know each other. If you've got any questions, be sure to leave them in the comments so we can try to answer them. And without further ado, let's get Bao on here. Hey, how you doing, Bao?
How's it going, Andy? Doing
Hey,
good. How about yourself?
hey, doing well, doing well. So thank you so much for joining us, uh, joining me, and
Pleasure.
yeah. So a little bit about how we got to know each other, basically through Instagram,
Yeah, pretty
and
much.
yeah, for the last probably what year and a half about.
I think so. It's probably about going on like maybe 2 years or
Ma-
so. So
yeah, maybe 2 years. So we follow each other's work very closely, um, and we've bounced questions off each other. But that's where we met, fellow woodworkers, and so we'll share our experiences with the with everyone tonight, and it should be a good time. So first of all, tell us a little about yourself. What are you up to? What does Bao Loy of Design Craft Workshop do?
okay. Well, professionally, I've been trained as an architect, so I do have an architecture license, and I am practicing in Texas. Not as much as I used to, but I'm focusing more on woodworking right now. Went to the University of Houston College of Architecture, and yeah, I am pretty much doing full time woodworking.
Awesome, awesome. So when did you kind of put down the architectural stuff and pick up the woodworking more full time?
Um, I've always wanted to do woodworking, and I think that the path that was laid out for me pointed me to that direction. Um, in architecture school, we built models,
Mm,
and that's kind of like where I started my woodworking. It wasn't furniture building, it wasn't like anything super big. It was very tedious, very tiny things that you could fit on a table. So that's where kind of like the passion grew. And we had a really nice wood shop.
oh, nice.
So we had like CNCs, we had 3D printers, we had metalworking, we had welding, we had spray booth, we had just like anything you can do, anything you wanted to do, you could pretty much do in the shop. So that's kind of like my experience with the woodworking side. And from there, um, I went and, worked for a few firms and
Mm,
I got my license. And one thing that I was missing throughout the part of that is just working with my hands. So I've always missed that aspect of architecture and that model making because everything now is digital. So whenever you meet with a client, it's a digital model, it's digital plans. There's nothing physical that you can touch or feel. Um, so from there, I went to work for a construction company and kind of got that side of things in terms of construction, getting dirty with the guys and on the field and kind of working with them. Sometimes, it was mainly babysitting older men. That's usually what happens in construction as a project manager. And then there are some times where you do get down and dirty with them and help them build stuff and make things. So I got that side of the construction field under my belt, and then from there I opened up my own firm, doing design build kind of thing, doing the actual design of the building, and then also subcontracting out to contractors to actually build it. And then the woodworking, I would kind of keep to myself because that was that little aspect of the project that I kind of wanted to invest my time in.
mm.
And in some cases, it might be just um, finishing or trim work or whatever. And I kind of enjoyed that more than the actual architecture design part. So
Yeah.
yeah, so my wife was I've always felt like I just couldn't do it as a woodworker full time. Like you always hear about people maybe woodworking is not going to pay the bills or whatever like that. So it was always that that lingering, question of like, can you pay the bills being a woodworker? And at that time, it was like, no, but I was miserable. I was miserable with my job and I didn't really like doing it. So my wife is like, it started to affect us too.
Yeah.
And she's like, I see that you're just miserable. And God bless my wife. She was the one that kind of pushed me. She's like, you got to just do it. Like
Yeah.
now is the time. You're young,
That's really
and we
cool.
don't have so much debt that you can't do this.
Hmm.
So she's like, you just gotta do it. And then when COVID happened, I think that's where things just popped off.
Yeah.
I looked at it as an opportunity to kind of pivot the company and pivot what I was doing and just go full in. So right now I'm full in. There's one or two jobs in the architecture side that I'm slowly winding down.
Okay.
And once that gets to a close, then it's technically, 100% woodworking.
Nice. Well, man, it's so cool to be able to talk to you. And I'm not exaggerating at all. Like, our timing with transitioning from jobs, like career stuff, and
Yeah,
not
yeah.
woodworking, when my timeline was very similar to yours.
Hmm.
Um, I worked a job. So I went to college for sports turf management. So,
What
um,
is
yeah, exactly.
sports turf? What is that?
Yeah.
I
So
have never heard of that before.
not a lot of people have, but so it's very specific. But basically, what it is maintaining athletic fields. So like MLB, NFL, high performance. Surfaces. So, if you're going to pay a MLB player $30 million to stand at third base, you want third base to be as good as it possibly can be, right? So my background is more in science, like soil sciences
Got
and
it.
like plant biology and those types of things. So, and I'm actually originally from Michigan, and
Uh-huh.
I went to Michigan State University and worked for a couple different sports teams. I worked for the Detroit Tigers. I worked for a couple different places, bounced around, and then my wife and I just felt like it was time to kind of move. So back in 2013, we moved to Kentucky because I accepted a job at a massive 150-acre sports complex to be the facility manager.
Wow.
So I worked there for 7 years, and I absolutely loved it. Like I love, just like you said, I love being hands on. I love working in the dirt. I don't mind getting dirty.
Yeah, yeah.
I just that's where I really thrive. Like I can't sit behind a desk. I can't do it.
Yeah, for sure. I totally understand how it feels.
Yeah. So, but that job, after 7 years, uh, it was actually a city. I was a city employee, and they ended up subcontracting out that facility, like the facility maintenance, the facility operation, to actually a company in Florida. So, long story short, I was forced to find something else. So, one thing led to another. I kind of discovered woodworking and making the community at that same time. I was not happy at work, and it was kind of a stress relief at that time. But then, little did I know that it would become a full time thing. And my wife was the same way. She was very encouraging, and I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah, it helps to have somebody to support, right? Like
Yes,
to support that initial launch off of the
yeah.
driveway.
Right. I mean, you're jumping off a cliff, and it. But the timing led up to when the pandemic hit. I was told to stay home from work. I was still working on my regular job at that point, so I had about 6 weeks where I was still getting paid. I was told to stay home because of the pandemic, and I had nothing else to do. So that's where I went full throttle. In those 6 weeks, I already had things in motion, but those 6 weeks is where I literally jumped off the edge. And so I'm just like you. It's been an opportunity for me, And
Yeah, and it paid off. And then I've seen a lot of your videos, and it's like just it's crazy. It's awesome.
yeah, yeah, and it's so crazy because the whole content creation. Like the only camera I ever used before I created a YouTube video was my camera on my phone. Like cameras, video, all that is completely new to me. Well, what is it now? About 14 months. And I just try to get better with every video. I just try
Sure,
to
yeah.
keep getting better. And some of my first videos are horrendous. But you have to start somewhere, right?
Yeah, I took down my first two videos. That's how bad it was. Like you can't see it. Like it's gone. It's
Yes.
gone.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's really cool, man. It's cool that we kind of have similar journeys and similar timing, and that's really what led to me. I think kind of our meeting,
Yeah.
and I noticed that, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna reach out and let's let's chat. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, cool. So, let's see if we. I don't think we have any questions yet.
So at your previous job, did you feel like it was not challenging enough? Because that's how I felt um, before trying to go full time with this woodworking.
Yeah, yeah. I was kind of in limbo. Like for me, it felt like the the wind was taken out of my sails. Like I had a passion and I was driven. And when government stuff and political choices happen, and there's nothing I could do about it, I really felt it wasn't really bored. I really felt kind of deflated.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it was something I was extremely passionate about, which is weird. I mean, how I was passionate about grass. Like I grew grass for a living. Like and not the kind you smoke. So don't get any ideas. But yeah, when people ask me like, "What'd you study in college?" I just like grass. Like, but anyways, so where woodworking and making came in was kind of that passion again. I felt motivated. I felt a
Yeah.
spark.
Right.
Um, that's how it was for me.
Yeah. I think for me, like, I pretty much sat behind a computer screen pretty much 8 hours a day. Like, you're on AutoCAD, you're doing 2D drawings, doing 3D models, whatever, and you're just kind of like stuck there for 8 hours a day, 5 days a
Mm,
week. And sometimes it's not 8 hours. Sometimes you're working, late into the night because you need to submit a whole bunch of stuff to the city or to this franchise or to this owner. So it was just me and the screen, and I just hated that.
yeah.
Um, I I was really good at it. Like I wouldn't say that I was bad at it. I knew what I was doing. I knew the codes, and I knew everything that I needed to do to get the permits approved for the clients. And I knew exactly what to do at every single process.
Mm,
And the money was good. Like the money
yeah.
was great. Because I focused on hotels and doing hotel designs,
Okay.
and so the money was there, but like I just dread every single line that I drew on that
Yeah.
screen. I'm like, what am I doing with my life, you know?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, it just drained everything out of me, drained the entire life out of me. So for me, that's kind of like that was where my last straw was. It was like, I just can't do this right now,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. So it's really cool. So what about going forward? Like we've talked a lot about the past, but what do you have in mind, or what are some of your just big goals of jumping into woodworking full time? Uh, where do you see it taking you?
Um, I think it's been a blessing so far.
Mm,
Like I have work that I had to turn down because I'm just busy.
mm-hmm.
Um, Maybe because there might be some smaller projects that just didn't fit in the schedule, um, especially during the pandemic and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I do hope that this will be the main source of income, and I don't know about you if the content creating will be your focus or the client projects are you're going to be your focus, but I think, eventually, hopefully the content will be the focus. But I do like, doing builds for clients. I
Mm,
know a lot of people don't like that. I
yep.
still enjoy the aspect of design and the collaborative nature that it brings. Um, Figuring out what the problem is for the client, what they're needing, and how can my design solve that issue for them. So I enjoy that aspect, and I've thank goodness I haven't had any bad clients.
That's
Um,
good.
so yeah, I do hope that the commissions still come in, and I hope that I'm still be able to do that as well as do the YouTube as well as still focus on Instagram. So I mean it's a lot, and I'm
Oh,
currently doing a lot right now.
yes.
We moved into our house about a year and a half, yeah, about a year and a half ago,
Okay.
and it's still under remodel, under construction. We are, it's functional, I got the bathrooms done
Yeah.
and we can, do our thing. But right now I'm working on the living room project. And I've been posting on Instagram about that.
Hmm.
It's going to be probably like a 5 series on YouTube, doing concealed doors, doing hidden doors, wall finish and everything like that, built-ins. And then we have the kitchen pantry that we got to do, and then a whole backyard that needs to get finished out too. So there's plenty of projects in the house alone, and I think that has been slowing me down in terms of commission work as well,
Yeah.
because I think my wife is about to kill me in my sleep if I don't finish this house anytime soon. So this is priority number one right now, getting that
Yes.
living room wall done.
Yeah. It's I completely get it. Like it's we met on Instagram, but Instagram alone, like it takes so much time to
Yeah,
plan content and to share it over there and share it on multiple platforms. For me, I've really I started with a lot of commissions and a lot of client builds. Um, Frankly, there's people that are a lot better at it than me, and I can do it, but I don't feel like it's my strength or do I don't enjoy it. I enjoy it, but I don't enjoy it the most, if that makes sense.
yeah, I get it. I get it.
So uh, obviously, you know me. I've jumped into a lot of CNC stuff,
Yeah.
um, and I know
How's
you.
that been for you?
It's been great. It's been great. It's
So is that like your primary focus right now? Is just CNC and YouTube?
yes, yes. I would say YouTube the most, and then CNC. So I'm really trying to grow and share and be YouTube be my main focus.
Got it.
I really enjoy the content creation side of things. I really enjoy things like this. Um, I enjoy telling stories,
Yeah.
and content is so. Um, I think content is evolved so much. It has to be more than just, hey, I built this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Um,
You are telling a story, and
yes,
that's kind of my approach as well. Like it's there's a beginning, there's a middle, and then there's an end.
yes,
Even on the Instagram post, it may be 30 to a minute long,
hmm,
30 seconds to a minute long, but it's clearly defined as a beginning, middle, and end with a process, right?
yes,
And sometimes people like the end, but they like that finished product. They like the finished shot of your board or something like that, or your tray. But I kind of want people to join me in that process of going through the entire thing, and it
yes,
is part of that storytelling.
yeah, absolutely. And so I would say my journey really started with CNC. Like and that's where I gained so much knowledge. I was in the CNC, and I still am, but I jumped. That's what allowed me financially to make the jump.
Yeah,
That was a big key to the puzzle. Um, and it's a smaller piece now, but it still is a main piece that makes everything else function. If that makes sense.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so I
In
started.
a
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, in architecture, we have projects that are very mundane, but they fund the projects that you really want to do,
Yes.
right? So you
Yes.
see all these buildings, that storage buildings and these big boxes, they're funding projects that the firm wants to do, and it's kind of like the CNC thing where you're just making trays. It may not be it may not be interesting or anything like that,
Yeah.
but it definitely helps fund what you want to do, right?
Yes. Exact. That is 100% right.
Yeah.
And so as business owners, because this, I think we both made that transition from being a hobbyist. Um, it was kind of to ourselves, or at least a side hustle to being the main thing. And as a business, I mean, a business has to have cash flow. If you don't have cash coming in, you can't do anything. So
Right.
it's in this new career that we're carving out. It seems to be there are a lot of little um, uh, cash flows to make it work. There's not one thing that just knocks it out of the park. If you know what I'm saying.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where CNC is for me, and I started sharing that knowledge in some of my YouTube videos, and because I feel like that's another passion of mine is business and small business, and I've owned, this is my second true business, and I really just enjoy that. So. I heard. I don't know if you watch any of Alex Steele videos at all. He's a bladesmith, and if you should check him out. If everybody out there, you should check him
I will
out.
have
Yes,
to check them out.
it's very good stuff. But anyways, he said one day that and it really caught me, that how he's got to where he's at is he really doubled down on what he was good at. So there's all these things, with this journey that we're on. There's woodworking, and then that comes in so many different ways. There is so many different avenues woodworking can take. But then there's video editing, there's filming, there's audio, there's just the business knowledge. So anyways,
There's
double
many shoes you got to fit,
yes.
like
But
it's just crazy. You just got to do.
and I think in order to be successful, what I've found personally is really just leaning into those things that you feel like you're good at, and because we're not good at everything, and I think
Right.
that's the tendency of like, oh, I've got to learn how to do this, I got to learn how to do this, I got to learn how to do this. Probably should have an idea, but there's other ways around those things, right?
Yeah, that's definitely my struggle. Like, I think I'm just doing too much right now.
Yes.
So it's like nothing's getting done. So I'm slowly, just once the projects wind down the architecture side, I'll be able to really fully just focus my mind on this. And I
Yes.
think a lot of that project is just mentally in my mind and it's just taking up too much space.
Yeah.
But for sure, like just trying, I was considering just hiring somebody a couple hours a day just to like shoot some content
Yeah.
because the way that I record things is very difficult. So if you see my rig, it's like I got cameras, microphone, a monitor. Sometimes I'm using a gimbal, sometimes I'm using a slider. So it's like if I can get somebody just to like control all that stuff,
Yeah.
that would free up my time to actually build the project. Because a simple build like a table or a console or something like that, it ends up being like double the time because I got to record every single thing. You
Absolutely.
know,
Absolutely. So that's why and I've been trying to introduce him. He's behind the scenes, and Bao, I introduced you to him earlier, but John Mark, who is a great friend of mine, and he is all things tech. I've hired him for one day a week on Fridays, and he's the tech director at our church, which we have a pretty big church, and they do everything. I mean, it's a massive technology operation. So, but anyways, I've been blessed to hire him on Fridays, and sometimes he'll like if I need some heavy lifting like on a project where we just need to bust this project out, we'll do that. But a lot of his work is camera work, is sound, is hey Andy, don't edit that way again. And so he has been fantastic. So I think that might be an option for you that to look at. There's got to be someone out there that you can give some of these tasks that are taking your time.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would definitely hire somebody to edit. Like it takes a lot of time. Like once the 6 o'clock, at the evening hits, it's dinner and then it's editing.
Yes.
And with Instagram, you know how it works. It's like the only way you get traction on Instagram is you're posting every day. You're staying consistent with it.
Yes.
And so that means everything that I record the day before, I got to edit that night and then schedule it for the next day. I've been better at it though. Like I'm starting to do a workflow where the only thing that goes on Instagram would be things that I place on YouTube. So it'll be a YouTube project and it'll be clipped up like that and 1 second or 1 minute clips. And that will be just all the Instagram stuff. So it's been a little bit better. It's been less editing for me. I can probably edit maybe 3 to 4 days in one session.
Okay.
And then just schedule it as the time needs,
Yeah.
So workflow is definitely something that I'm working on too.
That's key. Workflow is key. Let's jump in. And I should have done this sooner. Again, I'll get better at this live stream thing. But let's jump.
It's both of our first times. So,
yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
So guys, forgive us. Like I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm pretty sure Andy doesn't know what I'm doing. So
I think we're
all in this together.
I think we're doing good. So a couple comments in here. Ace Woodco, I know them from over on Instagram. They said they'd be here tonight. So I remember watching your old YouTube video about wholesaling on boards, Andy. Great knowledge you had on that video, even if it was old. I appreciate that. Everything that I put out, I try to think about it from the standpoint of, will someone else find this valuable? Like my whole like goal is to give as much value as I possibly can, because there's so many things that you can watch out there, and I want it to be worth someone's time, and that's my goal. So that's great to hear. Hi Dan, you need to start watching. Or I started watching your channel due to the Shapeoko. Yes, I'm a big Shapeoko fan. We'll talk about that in a second here, Bao. I know you.
Because I started with Shapeoko too.
You started with the Shapeoko.
Yeah.
You need to jump in on that, Dan. Have it start with that Shapeoko. Hi, Machine NZ. So I think that's New Zealand, which is sweet if it is. And John Mark. John Mark, you writing questions over there? Let's see. We'll get to your question in a second. We've got Dan and Ace Woodco here. So Ace Woodco asks, question for both of us. With so many avenues of your business, how do you prioritize, schedule your time without being as overwhelmed? That's a fantastic question.
That's a good question.
Bo, do you want to take that one first? Or I can?
I can take that.
What are some tips?
I think earlier on, I got into this kind of area where you're trying to grow so much. So you were I was posting like 3 times a day on Instagram, and that got exhausting because it was great.
Yeah.
And like the growth was great. And if you really want to do that, it's a huge sacrifice. You're going to give up a lot of nights editing things and trying to get it perfect to post it on Instagram and doing all the hashtag and getting whatever it needs to get done to get the algorithms to love you. But yeah, now it's more about like the other tip that I just gave before is synchronizing what you're going to post. If you can cross, I guess, if you're going to post things on YouTube, then, post that. Don't make content specifically for one sort of platform.
Yeah.
Trying to make the content for every single platform. And that definitely has helped me with the time management and getting content out there consistently and getting the quality of the content pretty much the same on every single platform, and just trying your best to um, carve out a time in the day to just focus on it. Like my time of the day is around, the nighttime. That's when I'm
Mm-hmm.
answering all the comments. That's when I'm checking in on everything. And then I would just, schedule the post in the morning, let it go, let it sit, don't worry about it. And because the last thing you want to do is check your phone throughout the day. That's just a drain. That's just life
Yeah.
draining. Don't do that. Just let it sit there and just go back at it at night before you go to sleep. That's what I would say.
I've got a great point on that, and this I actually give credit to my wife. So I used to have notifications on my phone for Instagram, for YouTube, for all of them, and my phone would go off nonstop. And what I would end up doing is picking it up all the time, and it was I didn't realize it, but it was a drain on me. And it was really a drain on our relationship because I was every time that phone would go off, I'd pick it up. So
Yeah.
my tip would be is to exactly that: turn off all notifications and set a time where whether a time of the day or a couple times a day, whether it's breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or after breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or something along those lines, right before you go to bed, and to check in to those things because it can get consuming. And it's like, imagine having an ongoing conversation like
Right.
18 hours a day. That's not healthy for
It doesn't
anybody.
stop.
It
Like
doesn't
it
it
doesn't
doesn't
stop at
stop.
all. Yeah.
So what I would add to that is and what I've heard a lot of other I guess you call them professionals say as far as like content creation is pick your platforms and dive into them. So you don't have to be on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I don't know what else there is, but there's like 20 different platforms.
Yeah.
And so pick 2 or 3 platforms, 3 at the most. Pick 2 platforms where you really want to get established, and that's where you go. Because and forget around all the rest, because your audience will find you no matter where you're at, whatever platform you're on.
Right.
Otherwise, it's kind of that idea of trying to do them all
Mm-hmm.
and not getting any traction on any of them, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I've struggled on Instagram. I only post. It's kind of changed for me a little bit. It's changed from posting every day to more of the behind the scenes type thing, like a lot more stories, a few posts here and there, but the flow for YouTube content is different for me than it is for Instagram, because for YouTube I'm usually working ahead. Like I'm working on sometimes I might be working on a video that's going to be out in 2 weeks. So it's hard in my mind to wrap it around that, okay, I've got to post this to Instagram, but do I post it to Instagram this week or do I post it next week? And it's just
Right.
it so I just said, nope, I can't do it. It was too distracting, so
Yeah, and also take advantage of, like, Throwback Thursday, Flashback Friday,
yeah. Yeah.
those things. If you don't have something listed or ready for that day, then do something that show something that you did in the past, and that still helps with the traction that you can get.
Yep.
So don't discount that. I do it all the time. A lot of people do it,
Yeah.
so there's nothing wrong with that
Motivation
at all.
Monday, Tool Tuesday, Way Back Wednesday, Throwback
Yeah.
Thursday.
Like a tool tip Tuesday or something like that.
Yeah.
So there's very simple things throughout the week you can take advantage of, but of course you don't want to overplay it, because then, like, the people who are watching your account or watching your content, they're going to see that pattern and they're going to get bored of it, right?
Yeah.
So you
Yep.
don't want people to get bored of it. You want to make sure that they're still being engaged and you're engaging them with the content as well.
Yes. All right. Good question. let's see. I'm jumping in the comments here. Awesome. New Zealand. It was New Zealand. Let's go. Okay, John Mark has a question for us. Bao, what are some workflow tips? Well, what are some workflow tips you've learned this year with your transitions?
What do you mean by transitions? Like,
Well, just into full time, right? You're kind of coming out of something. So, what are some workflow? And you can pick something. Maybe I know you said you work at night, but maybe have you come up with any video editing workflow tips?
I mean, I think I got my workflow down pretty solid now. I think the biggest tip is the tip that I said earlier is I don't make content specifically. Well, I wouldn't say I don't, but I don't often make content specifically for Instagram anymore.
Yeah.
All the content that you see is going to be part of a future YouTube video. That's definitely a workflow piece that has freed up a lot of my time.
Yeah.
Just I'm not chasing, constantly putting new content or different content on Instagram. And also one thing that I'm trying to get better at is recording. So I've never record entire sessions of my work. Like I don't do the time lapse thing. I'm not a big fan of that.
Mm-hmm.
What I do is if I'm breaking down plywood, I only need 3 shots of breaking down plywood. I don't need 10,000 shots of breaking down plywood at every different angle, right? Because our brains can kind of
fill in the gap
in those gaps, mm-hmm. and we don't need the extra shots. So I may do like 1 or 2 shots, and that's pretty much it. So that has helped me a lot in telling the story, and it also forces me to think about what angles or what shot that makes it more important, that tells the story of the project, right?
Yes.
So it definitely has helped in that way. Also, I'm using a management software called Notion, and it's a free software.
Okay, I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, you should definitely look it up. It's it's more of like a scheduling kind of. I use it as a project management for my video content.
Okay.
Like it allows me to write my scripts, and writing script has helped me a lot because I'm not witty, and I can't come up with like jokes at the top of my head. I'm pretty much I'm very boring. All right. So I can't think of the jokes or anything like that on top of my head. So I kind of script everything out, make sure everything sounds good, flows right. And I read from the script whenever I'm doing voiceover or whenever I'm doing just a standing headshot, like the previous video I did of the paint tip video.
Yeah.
Using an HVOP sprayer. All that was through a script. Like I was reading a script as I was, recording. So that has helped the workflow. And also Notion has allowed me to pretty much list out all of my shots, like the A-roll shots, the B-roll shots, organize all my shots wherever I need. And I'm able to like pretty much organize my entire video before I even create it. So
I think that's huge. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely helped with the project.
Yes.
And allowed me to kind of free up my time, my mental capacity of thinking about the content rather than doing the content, and I want to focus on making, not just trying to record things,
Yeah, that's a great point. I really struggled with this at the beginning, kind of like what I wanted, right? Because you can do voiceover, you can do like I do, and I talk to the camera during a project, a lot of different ways. And so the reason I settled on the way that I did it is because I did voiceover a couple times, and it didn't have my personality didn't come through. And I'm not like a funny, I mean, I guess I can be, but I think I think you have like there's this different feeling of me talking to the camera than just reading from a script. And so I think a big part of my channel, my channel personally, is my personality and is talking to the camera. And so that's why I landed on that. And it's hard. It really is to
To talk
to
to a camera, right?
yeah, it's really hard
It's
to
really hard.
it's
It's
uh
super awkward at first, and I'm still trying to get over it. But man, it's like I just don't know what to say. I don't want to do this right now. You know?
yeah. Yeah, like it's almost I almost have to do like just go for it. So one of my slogans that I haven't advertised all that well, but is kind of like just go for it. Like I say, just build it. Like, and that's what I tell myself all the time when I get in front of the camera is like, just do it. Stop thinking about it and just do it. And
Yeah.
I'll get mad at myself and like like no, you have to do this right now. And so I'm very that is my that's kind of my approach. Is look, yeah, I don't know how I'm going to build this, but let's just get started. And let's get started drawing. Let's draw it out. What are your thoughts?
Right.
Okay, let's start working out measurements. And then, it usually ends up biting me in the butt. But I say, nah, I'll worry about that later. I'm like, so if I think about it too much, I'll never do it.
Yeah.
I'll never get started. And that's the hard part, the balance of planning projects and and just getting started. And so what I found is kind of my philosophy is like look, whether it doesn't matter what you're doing, just do it. And so yeah, that's kind of how it goes. But
Well, I hope that answers the workflow question.
yeah, John Mark, stop asking workflow questions. Right? All right, so for you, Bao, do you write your scripts pre or post shooting?
Um, I I used to write my scripts post whenever I did the voiceover.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt like that was just taking up too much time and I was just overthinking it. So I think what helps me right now is to write the script ahead of time.
Okay.
Um, with some, it doesn't have to, you don't have to stick to the script or anything like that, but it just gives me a direction for the actual like content, right?
Yeah.
And it's not like it's gonna. I don't do that for every single project. It just really depends on the project,
Yeah.
If it's a very elaborate project like this living room project, then I'm not going to write the script until I see the content put together. So it just depends on the project in that case.
Yeah.
But for me, like doing the script first and having the shot list is very important. I would say, yeah, if you take something away from today, if you're doing content, create a shot list, and that's going to save you a lot of time later on looking through the video, trying to edit everything. But yeah, that's kind of my approach to it.
Yeah. So I probably need to take that advice. Probably need to create a shot list.
Yeah.
Nah, that's too much. That's too much for me personally. Like,
Trust me, it's going to save you a whole bunch of time. Because you got like, okay, here's the close-up shot, here's the wide angle, here's the detail shot, and then that's it. That's all. That's the 3 shots you need. You have
so. No, honestly, I kind of do that now. I used to, so and I can be like I learned the hard way. So my first YouTube video, I filmed everything. That camera was rolling nonstop, and it took me 40 hours to edit that thing because I had 20 hours of footage for a 10-minute video.
File size too.
Yeah, it was like
file size.
I was
like hard drives are coming in like nothing else.
Yeah. So now I completely agree with you. I don't write it down, but I only need 2 or 3 shots of a single thing. And then I set the camera to the side. I do the rest of it. And that's kind of the way it is. Now, if it's something I want to show the progression of, I do incorporate some time lapse and some jump cuts. I do like editing to the music. I find that very. So there's a lot of jump cuts when you're editing to the music.
it's more polished if you edit to the music.
It
Like
is. It
it
is.
just elevates the content a little bit more. I'm not good at it. I'm still learning about that
Yep.
because honestly, I've only been editing video for about a year or so, so I'm still pretty new to this. And
You and me both. You and me
yeah,
both. Yeah. Yeah.
so who are some of your I guess inspiration you look to in terms of your video content?
Well, um, so I've uh, there's so many. So I'm sitting here running through my head. Um, some of the old school, like we say old school, they've been at it for like 6 years or something like that, 6 or 7 years. But I listen to Making It every week with Jimmy Jaresta, Bob Claggett, and David Picciuto. I don't know if you listen to that podcast.
No, I'm honestly not a podcast person.
Okay, no
Don't tell
problem.
anybody.
No problem.
I rather the thing is I rather like see you guys.
Yeah.
Like if it's a YouTube, I watch it. I'll watch a podcast on YouTube.
Yeah.
But if I'm listening to it, yeah,
Yeah.
I just can't pay attention to it.
Yeah, so I usually listen to that. So those guys have been a big influence on me, and they've been at it for that podcast is like over 300 episodes. They've done one every week, so that's amazing. But personally, Bob from I Like to Make Stuff has had a major influence on what I do, but also April Wilkerson, like a fellow Texan, right?
Yeah.
Um, honestly, she kills it. Like I honestly am. I don't know how she does it. Like her pace and the amount of projects that she tackles, and now she has a team and stuff.
Right.
But
And it helps.
and it helps. But before that,
Yeah.
I had no idea. Like, how do you do that, April? So April, you probably will never see this, but I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, she is just amazing.
Yeah, yeah. So I definitely look up to all those individuals, and that's kind of how I see myself too. I see myself kind of as I have so many hats, like woodworking. Every single one of those people that I mentioned they're not woodworkers alone. They're not CNCers alone. They're not DIY home projects alone. Like they kind of do an array of things, and that's what I think I like about them.
Yeah.
What about you?
So early on, I watched a lot of, again, some of the big guys. I watched April and Bob as well. But I'm kind of drawn to a lot of the cinematography like makers.
Mm,
Um, Kind of like Sean Boyd,
yeah.
Four Eyes, Chris Amon. Um, and also there's a guy that he doesn't create content anymore, and it's kind of a shame. Like, but his name was Kirby Meets Audio. That's his
Hmm.
YouTube.
Okay.
All he does is he just makes like speaker builds,
Hmm.
and they're probably the most satisfying videos I've ever watched on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like just making stuff, and the way that like a lot of my stuff is kind of I'm trying to just emulate his stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's the way that he lights things, it's backlit, it's very moody, it's very dramatic. So if you guys want to check him out, it's Kirby Meets Audio. His stuff is just amazing. Really knowledgeable about like audio stuff. So I'm planning a speaker build too. Eventually, it's on the list, and
Mhm.
eventually I'll get there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like his content, like if you watch it, it's beautifully recorded and it tells the story, and that's kind of like what I want to do, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And also Frank Howard,
Yep.
I
Yep.
just love his stuff. He went to architecture school, so I'm kind of I guess drawn to those
Mhm.
type of content creators as well.
Mhm.
And then Homemade Modern was one of the first uh, kind of YouTube channels that I watched.
Yeah.
Ben, he does really awesome design,
Yeah. Ben
and
Ueda's great stuff.
it's with very basic tools. Like it's just amazing.
Yeah.
It's like it's you did that with that. That's just crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I like
So-
I like listening to him on the Modern Maker podcast. I know
Yeah.
you're not a podcast guy, but anyways, I have to have something. I have to have something on in the shop, otherwise I go crazy. But
Yeah, I did listen to Made for Profit
Yep.
with Brad and
Yeah.
I forgot the other John. Right?
John,
Is it John?
yep,
Yeah,
yep.
John. Yeah. So I listened to a few episodes of that, and it was really good content,
Yeah,
So it's
I
kind of like
like that too.
whenever yeah,
Hmm.
when I was first, getting into content stuff, kind of listened to their podcast a little bit.
Yeah. Well, if you could name one non-maker influencer or influential YouTuber, is there another channel that you watch?
Um, oh yes, Matthew Encina, like
Okay.
he makes videos about productivity.
Okay.
Um, and again, his cinematography is so good, like it's amazing, and his voice is like awesome too. Um, and also, he's part of this bigger brand, or he used to be called The Future. And The Future is led by Chris Doe, and he does a lot of these social media tips and a lot of content creating tips about, improving yourself as a content creator, improving yourself just as a person, how to sell and how to do things for clients and how to win clients and things like that.
What
He's
was his name again?
the first guy I mentioned,
The last guy that you mentioned.
Chris Doe with The Future.
Yeah, Chris Doe. That's
Yeah.
interesting. Okay.
If you're
Cool.
on Clubhouse, he hosts shows on Clubhouse, and just the knowledge on that is like you can't get it anywhere else for free.
Right.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
Chris Doe is a master at marketing. Like he's just amazing. So if you want to learn about marketing, Chris Doe is the guy. The Future, they do a whole bunch of YouTube shows and things like that about marketing. So it's amazing.
Gotcha.
But Matthew Encina definitely is an inspiration for the content creating side.
Cool.
Uh, Cinematography, the story
Yeah.
building, the story writing, scripting. A lot of my workflow kind of stemmed from what I learned from him.
Okay.
Notion, I got that from him,
Got that from him.
and how he does his workflow for YouTube. That's a lot of what he has expressed in his videos. So Matthew and Cena, if you guys ever want to
Interesting.
subscribe.
So if I had to pick one non-maker YouTuber, it's Danny Mechaskill.
Okay, never heard of
So
him.
he is a BMX. He's a mountain biker.
Okay,
Look up his stuff. Excellent. You'll love it because of the cinematography, and also his bike riding skills are off the charts. Like he'll ride a bike down the side of a mountain, and like the cinematography will be so excellent. And he's Irish, so that helps. Um, but that's why his name, yeah, it's Danny Mechaskill. I love his content. Good stuff. Good stuff.
awesome, awesome.
So
I think we have some content. I mean, questions at the bottom, maybe.
all right, let's see here. So yeah, and I think this one will probably we've got about 7 more minutes here. I mean, with respect to your time, Bo, and so for the business, so Ace Woodco says for the business side, how do you organize your paperwork / the business side of things?
Um, I guess you're talking about like maybe bookkeeping and all that.
Yeah, bookkeeping, maybe invoicing, estimates, receipts.
So I am really bad at that.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah, I'm really bad at receipts. So my receipts are everywhere. My wife, she just recently told me to put all the receipts in this basket, and she'll take care of the scanning and all that stuff, putting it onto the computer.
Yeah,
Because you go to Home Depot, you have like a receipt here, there, whatever, and it just builds up in your truck and everything like that. So I'm pretty bad at that. But what softwares I use right now, I use QuickBooks for desktop. I use that for the architecture side, so it just makes sense for me to continue with that. I have
yeah,
used PayPal invoice for a few projects, commissions, and that's pretty easy as well.
yep.
So they can just go on there and they can pay you partially or they can pay you in full. And you can always send them reminds whenever their invoice is due and chase after your money.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah.
And I would echo that. I use exactly the same things. I've used PayPal invoice before, but I use QuickBooks, and I'm also bad at it. So maybe Bo, this will help you. or uh, how my wife did the same exact thing, and she makes me put all my receipts in my wallet. Like when I check out, like and I get a receipt, it has to go in my wallet, and then once my wallet is overflowing with receipts, I have a folder that they go all go in.
Yeah.
So we have this like established rough system. But with online banking, honestly, like if I ever needed to, I could just print off a statement. So I don't worry about it too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But in terms of, I guess that's like the paperwork side. Business side, I kind of try to stick to a schedule. Like if if I have meetings, I will schedule it all in the mornings.
Okay.
So mornings would be like business stuff, um, posting, getting all that done, and then checking emails, answering emails, talking to clients. If there is clients I need to talk to, if there's anything that I need to submit to a client, then all that it gets done in the morning.
Yep.
Mainly because I drop off my son to my mom's house. Grandma watches my son.
Awesome.
So yeah, most of the morning is kind of lost already.
Yeah.
And once you get into that, that slump, it's like I'm just gonna, give that rest of the morning to the boring part of the job, right?
Yeah.
Handling all the business stuff. So all the business gets done in the morning, and then lunch, and then most of the building gets actually done in the afternoon.
Yeah.
If there's a day where there's nothing that I need to do in the morning, then I'll start the building in the morning, or maybe I'll run the CNC in the morning
Yeah.
and get that out of the way. And then again, most of the building for the content is in the afternoon. Um, yeah, that's how I kind of schedule my day.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's very important. Uh, to have a plan, and it doesn't really matter what when you work. You can kind of set it up for your personal schedule, but I think having a plan is so important. The days where I fail to plan are the days that get away from me, and I really don't have a productive day.
Yeah.
But I do the same thing. I start the morning. With checking emails, with replying, sending out emails, estimates, whatever it may be. And that way I'm done for it for the day. I actually try not to check emails until the end of the day. And if there's nothing urgent, then I wait until the next day.
Got it.
Because even emails, like, sometimes there's some time sensitive ones, but if you reply to an email within 24 hours, you're usually okay.
Yeah.
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 I know a lot of people treat them like text messages, and they're like,
Right. Right.
but
Yeah. So being able to focus on just business stuff in the morning, and then not have to worry about the end of the day or the rest of the day
yeah,
during your productive times, then it's definitely helpful. Room
absolutely.
plat. Hey, Bao and Andy. Hey, Rowland?
Rollin, I think.
Rollin. Okay.
Yeah, I believe I know him from Instagram. Um, uh, Forgive me, Rollin, but I think they're from Kentucky. I think
Okay.
so. Um, but do you? So for reference, I enjoy having more free time, but my wife said that I work better when I have a regiment. Yeah, mine too. Um, so do you enjoy being more regimented or having a free day in the shop?
Oh, that's hard. I think it kind of depends on the day. Some days I'm like, yeah, whatever, just do whatever. Don't worry about content, don't worry about anything else, and just kind of have a free day in the shop and do whatever you want. Um, but I kind of need structure. So I kind of
I do
need
too.
to know, yeah, what goal I have for the day, and um, having a list of to-do items throughout the week and going back to my Notion to like check it off and make sure I'm on track and everything. That has helped me be more productive.
Yeah.
I used to be more, open and free flowing, but that's been biting me in the butt more often than not. So um, I just need to stick to something to be productive. So
I agree. I agree. Um, those free days in the shop really end up don't being they're not, and for me, they don't end up being free. They seem to get away from me, and if I don't have something I'm working towards, I'm probably just going to slack off.
yeah, yeah, that's usually what happens.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So, all right, man. Well, I think this is a good place to wrap it up. Are there
yeah.
any? Where can people find you? I know we talked about it a little bit, but what platforms, if they want to get in touch with you or more Bao Loy Design Craft Workshop content, where can they get it?
So you want to check me out every day, then I'm on Instagram. So Bowloy_designcraft. That's where it's at. And I'm also on TikTok and I'm on Facebook. Check out the Facebook page, Design Craft Workshop. And then mainly YouTube is where I post pretty much all the builds, a lot of the tips and tricks and whatever that you guys want to see in terms of my content. That's going to be at Design Craft Workshop as well. So that is pretty much it.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your schedule. I hear your baby in the background.
Oh, you can hear him?
Just a little.
Oh, my bad.
No. I bring that up because my wife and I are about 2 weeks from having our firstborn. So.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
You're gonna get you all the sleep that you can get right now, man.
I know.
It's over.
We probably could
It's
talk.
over.
We could probably talk another hour about that. But no. The first time I could hear. Is it a him? Is it a boy or a girl? I want to make sure
It's
I
a
get it
boy.
right.
His name
Okay.
is Zion.
Oh, awesome. That was the first time I could hear him. Was just that last minute. So don't worry. It wasn't a big deal. But
It's bedtime, so I think
yeah.
Mom is putting him to bed. So
man, I wish I could put me to bed. Right? I like to sleep, but yeah, my wife and I are expecting our first child.
congrats, man.
Yeah, man. I don't know.
It's a great feeling.
I don't know what to expect. I know. I don't know.
I still don't know what to expect. So yeah, it's a new day every day with a baby.
Yeah. So
it's fun. It's a lot of fun. It's worth it. It's tiring, but it's the most rewarding job that I have.
That's
it's
awesome.
not really a job. It's just the most rewarding experience that I can have.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, and so we're excited. And my goal was to prepare, and as far as the business side of things, I might have to skip a week of content here, like at the beginning, but at the end of the day, we're gonna keep on going right through, and
For sure.
we'll keep pouring that content out. So thank you so much for joining. And we'll have to chat again here soon.
For sure. Been great.
All right. Thanks, man. Hey, thank you, everyone who joined. I don't want to forget you guys. I'm a bad host. I'll get this down one of these times. I don't think that was too bad for our first time.
Yeah, it was great. I think it was perfect. No technical difficulties. So we're pretty good.
Yeah, I think so. So thank you, everyone, for joining. And I'll see you next time.
See ya.
See you.